potentially ladies, whoever might be listening. I just want to start off by saying this is going to be a serious dream. And some of the shit that's going to be said might be uncomfortable. And if you're not in the frame of mind to listen or to discuss in the comments on a serious matter, then come back and watch it later. Because, like I said, this is a serious subject. And I'm not doing it to call out anybody. I'm not doing it to say, hey, there's some people I know that, maybe you need to fix yourself. I'm saying if just the thought of a stream called alcohol addiction bothers you, then maybe you need to listen. So let's start this thing off. Honestly, I'm nervous about them. Probably more nervous about this stream than any other stream I've ever done. So let's get into it. My dad had a dog. It's a little dog, little Jack Russell. And he loved that dog. God, did he love that dog. It was kind of like, if you ever see Frasier, the dad with the dog, it was like that. And that dog, he was a good little dog for the most part. And you could put a bowl of food in front of that dog and he'd eat it. And you could put another bowl of food in front of that dog right after he finished the last one and he'd eat that too. And you could put another bowl of food in front of that dog and he'd eat that one too. Birth defect, maybe. Whatever it was, he had no control. He had no valve in his mind to stop him from overindulging, to just keep taking it in. Eventually, it led to health issues with the dog as things happen. He got too fat, he got diabetic, and then all the problems that go along with having to take care of a diabetic dog. But people who have addiction problems, it doesn't make you a bad person. You just may have a defect within you that doesn't allow you to stop what you're doing. And I don't want to sit here and talk about all the reasons that people start drinking or why they drink, in this society, it's well accepted to drink, right? I will be the first one. You got a celebration, go have fun, go get lit. It's almost like a rite of passage, right? To just get hammered and get drunk and forget what you did. And, it's like the good old American way of doing things, right? But when it gets to be a lifestyle where you need it all the time, that's a problem. And that leads to very serious consequences within your life. Health problems, which mostly is what I want to talk about tonight. Because I'm not a doctor. I am not a clinical psychiatrist or a counselor or any of that stuff. I just see that within this space, within this manosphere, there is a lot of people who have problems with alcohol and who, like that dog, cannot control their ability to stop. And again, it doesn't make you a bad person. You have to realize that you have a problem. And maybe nobody's told you had a problem. Or maybe you don't want to realize you don't want to acknowledge the problem because it's easier to just, probably one of the reasons why you started to drink was to drink, to forget your problems, right? With 2 rounds and then immediately hit with a grenade that he took to the backside. And for the rest of his life, he dealt with those injuries and the pain those injuries gave him. He used to take out pieces of the shrapnel. It was kind of interesting in a weird way, because they would come out almost like pearls. The body like pearlized all these little tiny pieces. He kept it in a jar. It was kind of weird, but interesting at the same time. But that's the level of pain that he was dealing with. And how he dealt with that pain was to self-medicate and drink. And hold on, I'm being told that I might have problems with my stream. Hold on. Video is freezing up. Oh boy. Oh boy. I hope you guys can hear me. I hope this isn't a problem. I don't know what else to do. If you can't hear me, I'm gonna have to just do this live stream as it is and re-upload it. I can't stop now, unfortunately. This is such a serious subject. Of course, I have problems during this one. Any case, so my uncle, he had problems with pain, and he dealt with it with drinking. And I mean, this is a tough guy. He was a Marine. It fucking took bullets and a fucking grenade, and he lived to fucking walk away. He lived to tell the tale about it. And the thing that took him down was his drinking. And drinking is such a widespread problem that I am certain everybody who may be listening to this now has either dealt with it personally or knows somebody who's dealt with it. And unfortunately, my uncle wasn't the only person in my life who has this problem. There's somebody very close to me who has had this problem for many years. And I had this kind of conversation with him about 11 years ago, when I went into his room and saw that he had lost his job. His room was a disgraced mess. He was surrounded with brandy bottles, the cheapest, shittiest brandy that you could buy. And the bottles were everywhere. And it was, look, you need to do something with yourself. You can't keep going like this. And we got him into treatment, and he's been in and out of treatment a couple times in his life. And this is just a constant thing that he's going to have to deal with for the rest of his life, with knowing that he has this issue with alcohol and that he can't stop if he keeps drinking. He's not able to stop. I'm just looking at my notes because I wrote down so many notes. My uncle, people think when they're gonna die, it's I'll die someday. Maybe I'll get hit by a bus. Maybe I'll have a heart attack, whatever. But with drinking, if you are a heavy to moderate drinker, it's pretty much known how you're going to die. And it's going to be very painful. And in the case of like my uncle, it was slow. And it was a terrible way to see somebody go. Fuck, I didn't think I was getting it. Sorry. To see somebody who was a great person whittle away to nothing was terrible from this side. And people who have a tendency to, just be alcoholics and whatnot, they don't realize the lives that they're affecting because, I just didn't lose my uncle. That was to drinking. But I've lost a cousin who was 17 years old, and she was hit by a drunk driver and killed. Whole life in front of her. She literally graduated high school the day before. Hold on a sec. I'm sorry. I didn't think I was gonna. I didn't think I was gonna do this. I also lost a sister who was also 17 years old, who was also hit by a drunk driver. So your actions that you're doing could have a wide range of consequences, not for just yourself, but for a lot of people around you and even people you don't know. Oh, fuck. Sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't think this was going to affect me like this. All right, hold on. Give me a sec. Just give me a sec. I'm going to mute it for a second. I'm really sorry, guys. Okay. All right. I promise my next couple of live streams, I promise will be fun and happy ones. I promise you. Okay? I'm sorry. But I really think that this needed to be discussed because there's a lot of people in this community that I care about. There's a lot of people that care about each other, and we don't want to lose you. We want you here, right? Um, well, I need a drink. I'm shitting soda. Hold on. Okay. All right. Let me get back into my headspace. I'm really sorry, guys. So I got Nate here. He's going to help me discuss some of the physical problems that you're going to have by drinking. But before we get into that, we're going to look at some of the warning signs. And I think it's good to discuss what um, what could possibly happen with you. A few years ago, let me try to get back on track. Get my shit together. Get it together, fucking Billy. All right. A few years ago, I went to a place in Vegas. The guy from Ghost Adventures has. It's like a haunted museum. And I was all, they'd say, "Hey, do you want to sit in Jack Kevorkian's murder van?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll sit in that. Why not?" So I was always the first one and like the only one who was, volunteering for this stuff. And one of the things they had you do, or they asked, they said they brought you into this room that was like a wake, like set up like where you'd have a funeral, and they had a coffin in there, and they had a skeleton, and they said that for a ritual, I think it was the Freemasons, as part of their initiation ritual, you have to stare into the coffin with this skeleton in it and realize that you are a mortal being and that your time on this planet is limited. So when Nate, who, can be very descriptive of the clinical problems that you are facing when you drink, you're going to want to know that. So you know what you're dealing with. Okay. And by the way, at the end of this stream, towards the end of the stream, I interviewed somebody who a lot of you guys know, who is, he was deep into this stuff. And I'm talking deep. And he is working his way out of this. I want you to realize that you can get past this, but it's not going to be easy. But you have to realize that you can get out of this. All right. Whew. Oh, man. Well, it was a character for me, but, it's real life, right? Okay. So let's let's see some of the warning signs that we could. Oh, am I sharing? All right. Let's discuss some of these. Let me try to. Signs you might have a problem with alcohol. And in a lot of ways, if you're an alcoholic, you probably already know you're an alcoholic. I'm just saying. So, this is from WebMD, and it's called Signs You Might Have a Problem with Alcohol. Uh, so it says, number one, check yourself. Are you wondering whether your drinking is on the high side of normal or if it's crossed the line and a problem? Think back to the past year. If any of the following scenarios seem familiar, it might be time to make some changes. Okay. Number two, you drink more than planned. You've had times when you ended up drinking more than you thought you would, or for longer than you were going to. It may not seem like a big deal if it only happens once in a while, but that shows you have trouble controlling yourself while drinking, and it's an early warning sign. Number three, you spend a lot of time on drinking. Now, that might not just be drinking itself. That might be, let's see, we're not talking about just the time with a glass or a can or bottle in your hand. There is also getting the alcohol, feeling sick after you drink, the recovery. And it says keep track of all your daily activities. I'm sure people who are alcoholics aren't keeping track of their daily activities, but it says try to keep it in a diary. But number 450, your tolerance has gone up. The usual doesn't have as much an effect on you anymore. You need to drink much more than before you get a buzz you want. See, like the person my family member who is dealing with it right now, who will deal with it for his entire life. It started out with drinking beer, and it worked its way into, because it was becoming a more daily issue, that he couldn't afford the case of beer, the high expensive alcohol. It just started getting more cheap and cheap, shitty alcohol as time went on. Number 5, you crave alcohol. There are times when you want to drink so badly you can't think about anything until you get one. The strong need or urge can be triggered by people, places, things, or times of day that remind you of drinking. Certain emotions of physical sensations can also trigger a craving. When you have a drinking problem, your brain reacts to these triggers differently than a social drinker does. Number 7, you give up other activities. What is it that you do for fun besides drink alcohol? And, kind of putting onto that, do your activities revolve around alcohol? Like going to the bar, going places where you can get a drink. It says, think about the activities you used to enjoy, the issues that were important to you, and the ways you used to spend your free time. Has drinking edged those things out of your life or prevented you from doing them? Number 8, you're dropping the ball on life. Can you think of more than a few times when you came to work with a hangover, missed deadlines, or got behind in schoolwork because of your drinking? When your alcohol use includes being sick from drinking, often prevents you from keeping up with your responsibilities at home, work, and school, it's a problem. Yeah, usually when you're deep into alcohol, like you're just it consumes your entire life. Let's say number 9, it causes friction in relationships, and that could, okay, maybe you're not in a relationship with a female or whatnot, but probably causing friction in your family, friction with your friends. Maybe you've lost friends over this. Maybe you don't talk to family members anymore because of this. You have withdrawal. As the effect of alcohol wear off, you may have trouble sleeping, shakiness, irritability, anxiety, depression, restlessness, nausea, or sweating. Alcohol changes your brain chemistry, and when you drink heavily over a long period of time, your brain tries to adapt. If you suddenly stop drinking, your brain has to adjust again, causing these withdrawal symptoms. You could have been hurt. This talks about, you're taking risks and doing things that you shouldn't be doing, like driving and swimming, fighting, unsafe sex, all kinds of stuff, all the kinds of stupid shit that you do while you're drinking, right? Drinking is making you sick. That's a big one. Do you continue to drink even though you know it's causing you health problems or making those problems worse? Alcohol can damage liver, heart, brain, pancreas, immune system, and can raise your odds of getting certain cancers. Although you realize it's harming you, a physical or emotional dependence on alcohol can make quitting hard. So we're going to talk about that very shortly with Nate on the physical shit that's happening to your body. You're getting into legal trouble. If you've been arrested or had other run-ins with the law more than once because of your alcohol use, it's getting serious. You might be dealing with the fallout from this for years, but it's not too late to do something about it. Here's something to think about. Drinking really does damage to your liver, but your liver is one of the organs that can repair itself. Something to keep in mind. You want to stop, but you can't. Maybe you've been concerned enough that you have already thought about or actually tried to cut down on your drinking, and it didn't happen. Alcohol masks unhappy emotions, so those feelings can come back when you quit drinking, making it harder to stick to your goal. Yeah, that's a big one. Like I mentioned before, a lot of guys, especially men, will say, "I got this. I can take care of it. Now I'm going to stop tomorrow, and I just have this one more night. I want to hang out with my buddies. Or just this one more party that's coming up." And it keeps getting kicked down the road, right? The can just keeps going down the road, and you never do stop, right? Well, that's a problem. That's how you know you have a problem. And here's the last one. All right, what to do. If any of these things could signal alcohol problem, don't feel bad, but do consider cutting back on drinking or quitting altogether. Talk to your doctor, therapist, counselor, and so on and so forth. I think that's a big thing. People, especially men, again, we got this, right? We can handle this, and we don't talk to other people about it. What do I need to see a doctor for, right? My guts are hanging out, but I got this. I don't need to see a doctor. I don't need to see a therapist. Well, you're drinking again for a reason, right? And whatever that reason could be, and it could be totally legit and totally understandable of why you're drinking, because of physical pain, because of mental anguish, because your ex ran off and took your kids and all the other terrible shit that happens in life, right? It's it's easy, totally easy to see why you'd pick up a bottle and want to make yourself forget about it. Totally understandable. But when it's getting to the point of an everyday and it's killing you, you need to stop and you need to change course of direction because you're only making things worse. So, let me see if I covered all my notes. Oh boy. This is this show is a little harder than I thought it would be. All right. I wanted to there was a quiz I put in the description. Two of them, actually. Two separate quizzes. Where's the other one? Hold on. There's another one. I don't know. I think I had two. Yeah. So there's two different quizzes. I don't know. If you think you have a problem, take the quiz. But if you have a problem, you probably know you got a problem. And really, a quiz is just, you know, look, you can try to fool the quiz. And you could try to say, I don't really have a problem. No, I'm good. I don't have a problem. Really, honestly. No, I got this. I'm not there with you, right? I'm not there to say, oh, you really need to take care of this. I'm not wagging my finger at you. Nobody's there. It's just you, right? You got to be honest with yourself, right? It's time to take charge. It's time to go in a different direction if this is something that is affecting you. If you aren't affected by this directly, if you aren't an alcoholic, or if you know somebody who has a problem, maybe show them this video. Say, hey, pal, maybe you need to watch this for at least a little bit because a lot of people who have the problem either A, they don't realize it, or B, they don't want to deal with it. So let me bring on Crusader. Hey, Nate, how are you?
Oh, you know me just, oh, yeah, you know me just living the dream, man. Just living the dream.
Yes, which sometimes could be nightmares.
Well, nightmares are dreams too. It's all in how you look at it.
So, did I get through that all right? I don't know. I feel
Yeah, dude, you did
off the
very
rails.
well. Oh, no. I mean, there's a time and a place for serious stuff. There's a time and a place for joking around. There's a time and a place for goofing off. Um, but sometimes you just gotta be who you are and just kind of um, just show the raw emotion on this stuff. I've had plenty of friends that have, had medical complications due to drinking. I've had a lot of friends that have had problems with other substances. Um, so it's definitely something that hits close to home for me as well. Um, do I drink? Yeah, I do. Um, am I?
Believe me, I'm not a teetotaler myself. I'll
Yeah.
I'll lay one back or a few back. You know,
Yeah. I
it feels
mean,
good
they're
to drink. I mean, I could
right,
say it. We're not,
right.
we're not like nuns here or priests or whatever.
Right. I mean,
We
there have
don't mind
been
drinking, but
allegedly there have been streams that you and I have been on where we've both been drinking. It's
of course,
okay. Um, but there, there's a, as my old man told me when I was a young man, there's a time and a place for everything. If you're going to do something like that, um, put your keys somewhere at home. Don't drive. Don't go anywhere. Stay home. Set a limit. Set a standard for yourself, uh, and make it a thing as a reward and or a treat and or something that you can have as a goal or an accomplishment. Um, if you know you have a problem with something like this, first step is seek help. Number one, but number two, um, see if you can go a day. Put it off for a day. Get up in the morning, make like Jordan Peterson says, get up in the morning, make your bed, go to work, do what you got to do, and draw a hard line. If you need to actually stop completely, that's going to be a challenge. You're probably going to need to seek some professional help to get through that. Um, but I mean, a buddy of mine I knew through work that had such a severe problem that when he retired, um, he uh, he literally drinks. He drank to the point where it was actually causing problems with his internal organs.
Hmm.
Like he was starting to internally bleed out because the alcohol was destroying his stomach, his intestines, his bladder, um, and someone wound up doing a wellness check on him and found him dead in his own home.
Hmm.
Um, so don't let that happen to you, because to anybody out there, because there are people within our community, within other communities that you're a part of. Look at all the things that you're involved in: family, friends, neighbors, work, other volunteer associations, whatever you may be a part of. If you just disappear, someone's going to notice. Someone's going to miss you.
I think,
So,
in this space, there's a lot of guys who think nobody cares about me, right?
uh, well,
I just
I'll,
I feel that there's a but I've seen him in the during pop stream, some of the chats. Sometimes you're like,
yeah,
you could see that people there's some guys who believe that nobody cares about them, and that's not true. It's not true.
yeah, and as a moderator for Pop's channel, moderator for you, moderator for Rhino, there's as long as I am near an internet connection and I have the availability to actually watch and read chats, there are names that I see that pop up in chats all the time. There are people within Rhinos Gilded, Pops Gilded. There are certain people I know that they have different things coming up, and I look to see what they're doing. I mean, there have been a few people, I'll crack jokes about it, I'll make some comments about it, but all in all, um, dude, this is such a small community of people. We can't lose any.
No.
One person is a big person. Is a big thing in a community. If you have a community of 10 people, one goes missing. That's 10% of your population. Um, it's just the way you got to look at it. And if you guys got problems, if you're going through something, that's what this community is about. It's about helping other people. That's why we're here. We we've all been, we've all had the fecal sandwich, and our choices are white wheat or rye. We all got to take a bite of it. And you're right. Um, when you were mentioning about that place out in Vegas where they had you look into the casket with the skeleton into it, and I think it was Thumper that said it a couple weeks ago on one of Rhino's streams. Everybody's got a beginning date and an end date with a dash in the middle. That
Yeah,
dash means something. Let
absolutely.
that dash mean something. So it's a pretty heavy topic. It's a pretty heavy subject.
Yeah.
I mean, you've lost family, friends. You've had lost people to this. This is something you take personally, um, and you see people within our community headed down this same pathway.
Yeah.
I see it as well, um, and I understand why they do it, but I'm not gonna be a complete hypocrite. I'm not gonna tell you need to stop drinking. Well, yeah, I'll have a glass of scotch every now and then. Yeah, I'll have a beer every now and then.
Yeah.
Every now and then. I mean, I got bottles of scotch here at home that I haven't touched in close to 10 years. I mean, I have bottles that I haven't even opened in close to 25 years. Um, there's there's a fine line of things, and people just got to make sure not to step over it and be able to maintain what they need to do on a daily basis.
Right. But there's going to be, people who we could say all we want, but you know, they have to realize that, you know, that they have a problem and that
Yeah,
maybe it's bigger than just them being able to try to help themselves. So,
yeah,
So you, knowing medical stuff,
A little bit.
um, I wanted you to talk a little bit about the effects on the body that happen. Because as I
Well,
mentioned earlier, I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'll die, however, I'll get a heart attack," or But
well,
if you're a chronic drinker, there's definitely things you're doing to yourself that are going to happen. So I wanted you to talk about that.
okay, yeah, not a problem. I mean, I'm no doctor. I worked with a few, um, but when it comes to alcohol consumption, I mean, a little bit is okay. Um, However, when I say a little bit, if you drink once, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, that's it. If you're busting open a case of beer and burning it out in a day or two, that's a bad thing. Um, what you're doing is alcohol is basically a depressant, and it can also be a diuretic. What'll happen with that is you're going to start to dehydrate your body. You're going to start uh, when they actually brew beer, um, they're actually boiling different grains inside of there and imparting certain minerals and elements in there, but you're also burning off certain things inside of the water as well. Um, Much like, I don't know if many people have seen anything out there about, they tell you don't drink distilled water because water will actually start to leach minerals out of your body and deplete those from your body. Alcohol can do the same thing. Um, Another thing, looking, and that's just on a basic foundational level. When you get into understanding that the liver itself is the primary organ that's going to start doing the processing and the filtering along with your kidneys, um, you can start to cause fatty liver disease. You can start to cause problems with the way your liver is functioning. Um, you can cause kidney problems. You can start to develop kidney stones with certain things because of different minerals the way your body will process them. And go and ask a pregnant woman who's had a kidney stone, what's more comfortable, natural childbirth or passing a kidney stone?
Hmm.
Um, because kidney stones can be broken up by ultrasound, but there's only one. Well, there's technically two ways for a kidney stone to leave the body. One is surgically, and just for all you guys out there, imagine something the size of a tic tac with barbs on it, and it coming out of you know where. And I mean,
Sorry.
if that's, yeah, that's the response I wanted to see. Um, and that's just dealing with a kidney stone that can be caused by drinking. That's definitely something that can happen. When you deal with fatty liver disease, you start dealing with cirrhosis of the liver. You're going to deal with dull aches and pains. You're going to have problems and complications with digesting different foods. You're also going to deal with breaking down the mucous membrane that actually lines your stomach, which can cause the development of ulcers within your stomach. It can also cause problems in your intestines, leaching some of the alcohol and some of the fluid into your intestines. You can start causing a lot of problems just in your digestive tract alone. Um, then, when you come into diabetes, you can start to develop an alcohol problem with your pancreas, where you can develop different stages of pancreatitis. You can develop things like pancreatic cancer. You can start to develop things along those lines. And then the other thing is there are a lot of people in the world that are actually living with borderline pancreatic failure, also known as diabetes.
Hmm.
That's what it is. It's your body's inability to produce adequate insulin for the glucose and the sugar that you're putting into it. So look at it this way. Do you want to deal with having pancreatic failure? Do you want to have an organ failure? You want to have an organ failure? That's not something you want to deal with. It can be very painful. Um, so, I mean, cancer kills a lot of people on a regular basis. I mean, there's so many different things just in the digestive in just the trunk of your body that you can have problems with. Not even, and that's not even getting into your brain. Um, the way alcohol is processed in the brain's primary fuel source is glucose. It's what your body runs the neurons in your brain operate the most efficiently on basic glucose. That's why anybody who's switched to any kind of like a paleo diet or a keto diet or anything like that, everybody that I know that has ever switched to a diet like that, they all talk about dull ache headaches. That's because your body is actually learning to run on something other than glucose. That can also be a problem coming from drinkers. The other thing is there are so many different neurological disorders and things you can actually deal with. Um, I can't remember most of them off the top of my head, but it can actually cause an alteration in the cerebral spinal fluid chemistry within your brain, and it can actually start to much like on a keto diet when people switch from the high carb diet to a keto diet to deal with headaches. What will happen is if you continually drink, your body is going to actually switch over to seeking the simple sugars that your body is gaining from the alcohol. So that can create much of an addictive behavior, much like caffeine addiction.
Mm.
Um, the reason most people have a problem with a caffeine addiction and they talk about having headaches when they go through a caffeine withdrawal is because caffeine is a vasoconstrictor, which makes a blood vessels smaller, which then having that amount of blood pumping through your system with your veins constricted, your body pumps 25% of its blood to your brain, number one. So then when you quit caffeine, your the veins and arteries will actually dilate, they'll get bigger, and that increase in blood flow and blood pressure into your brain is what causes the headaches. Very much the same thing when it comes to alcohol. I mean, we could do probably a year's worth of live streams on the biological problems of overconsumption and or addictive behavior consumption of alcohol.
Mm. Yes, we can. I mean, I, the one thing that, or a couple, I mean, there's so many things you mentioned there, but
Yeah.
you don't even think about the vitamin problems with
Hmm.
it, taking the vitamins out of your body, or the
Hmm.
spiking of the sugars and the
Right.
pancreatitis problems. I mean, these are, you always just say, oh, well, it'll affect your liver, but you don't think of all these other
Yeah.
problems that go with it. One of the things I
Hmm.
was reading was that it begins to affect your nervous system,
You can.
where yeah, where you could start to have tremors and shakes, kind of like a
Yep.
Parkinson's
It's
situation.
possible. It's very possible.
I was also reading about how it can turn into like a degenerative memory problem.
It can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can you go into a little more in depth of liver problems? Because that's the big one besides pancreatitis. Um, like, what's involved with a failing liver? I know. I wish Rhino
Well,
was here. He could talk because
well,
I know me.
I got a message. Give
I
him
know me,
about
bro.
30-40 minutes, and he should be able to hop on here with us.
Okay.
So he's running a little late. He had a couple of things to handle, but yeah, when you start dealing with things like liver failure, one of the most common signs is jaundice, yellow skin, yellowing of the eyes, things like that, and that's basically one of the. It's like the tail end sign of liver failure. Uh, yeah, I just see right on the chat that he's working on it,
Yeah.
so that's good. Um, there are a lot of different things. I mean, like I said, my level of expertise in research is more neurological and dealing with the brain, um, and I didn't really deal much with like substance substance use and abuse. But what you're going to run into with the liver is much like dealing with a failing pancreas. Your liver actually will start to have a number of problems with erratic glucose dumps because your liver will actually store a small amount of sugar that in any point in time, if your blood sugar goes too low, your liver will automatically dump that into your system. The average non-diabetic person out there will usually maintain anywhere between blood sugar level of 80 to 120, maybe 130, depending on genetics. So that's where most people end up lying in that range. But a lot of the times, with the liver storing that extra sugar as part of a survival instinct for the human body to have some longevity, your liver is no longer going to be able to store adequate amounts of sugar to help balance that out. The other thing is putting on extra body fat, putting on extra weight, putting on um, visceral fat, which would be fat surrounding your internal organs, which can lead to causing undue pressure on internal organs. You can start to have fat deposits on your liver, on your kidneys, on your stomach, and that can
Well,
actually
I see the guys with the big beer bellies. I mean, that can't be good for people, right?
no, it's not. Well, there's I knew a few guys that were five, I'd say probably 5'6" to 5'10", that I used to tease them and joke with them all the time that they're permanently 9 months pregnant. And these guys were going to bowling leagues, dart leagues, pool leagues, and these guys would literally get a cab out or Uber from their house to a bar and be drinking from 6 p.m. until midnight every single night. And the next day they're absolutely garbage to work with. They're out of it. It's literally impairing the way that they function. And after a while, their bodies get used to functioning that way, and then they end up having a health scare. A buddy of mine, he's been dead almost 20 years now. He used to do that regularly, and he had a major medical scare. Um, and he switched. Literally, he used to eat fast food all the time. He was going out to dinner all the time. He was always you'd find him in different bars, different clubs, where every night after work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he had a heart attack and a stroke at the same time
Wow.
in the middle of the night. And his wife would thank God his wife was there. Um, and she called 911. He went to the hospital. He was in the hospital for almost a month. Had to learn to walk again. Changed his life around. Went all holistic on food. Started growing a garden. Sourcing stuff through farmers markets. Literally turned his entire life around. The way he ate, the way he exercised, the things he did, the people he hung around with, changed all of that. And I think it was like 80 or 90 days after that scare, died.
Wow. Well, see,
Like,
that's the
no
problem
notice.
is is that usually by the time that guy's like what happened here, what you're saying is the guy he changed his life around after he had a
Right.
stroke and a heart attack. But the
Yeah.
problem was he got to the point of having a stroke and a heart attack.
Right.
And I don't want people to get to that point where they've caused major damage to their body and then
Yeah.
have that wake up moment, right? I want people to
Right.
realize who are going through this to have it before they hit that problem.
Well, yeah. And that's where it comes to a level of self-actualization. I mean, if you can't get through a day without having a beer, let's say you get home from work, you fire up the grill, you grab a beer. You throw some chicken or throw some brats on the grill. You have one beer as you start the grill. You have another beer as you finish grilling. You have a third beer while you have dinner, and you have a fourth beer for dessert.
Yeah,
All right, man, that's a little excessive.
it is
Have one
totally
with dinner.
it's excessive. But you see, the problem is that when you're an alcoholic, you say, okay, I'll stop, right? And the person will stop for a day or 2 days.
Right, right,
Maybe you'll go 3. You'll be like, I got this covered. I'm good. I'm not an alcoholic. Let's celebrate by having a drink, right? that's what happens with these cycles, right? And it goes back to that
Yeah,
that dog that just he couldn't stop. He had a
yeah,
problem.
right. And um, it, much like smoking, much like any other vice, much like any other habit, um, people say, "Well, I always have a cigarette when I go to the bar." Okay, well, stop it. I'm not saying stop going to the bar. I'm saying stop having a cigarette when you go to the bar. Like, you can look at what you're consuming and you can say, okay, I'm going to set a standard. Okay, I can look over the past week. Let's say I've gone to the bar 3 days a week and I have 3 beers every single time I go.
Mm,
I'm going to next week only have two. I'll still go 3 nights a week and just slowly taper yourself down. I've helped friends of mine quit smoking this way. I'm like, look at the number of cigarettes you have, look at the number of beers you have in a day, count them through a week. Next week, -1 every day. Start looking at that and start finding other things to do with yourself. Set a threshold. If that means you only buy a 6 pack at a time, only buy a 6 pack at a time. Be aware of what you're consuming.
right. And that's
Um,
a way of trying to manage it on your own, for
yeah,
sure, right? When you're not
yeah,
at that point of you need a drink to survive, because when you're at the point of you need a drink to just function, right? And here's the thing that like that I'm seeing in the chat, and that's our society glorifies it and all this. I want people to realize, like, you know, if you're having this problem, you don't need the drink to be you, right?
right.
A lot of think of it as like a lot of performers, right? Guys who
Hmm.
are in whatever industry, music industry, and they go on mostly like musicians say, right?
Yeah,
They have to take a drink or take a drug to and then be able to get on stage, right?
right,
Because they're not them without that drink or that drug, right? They need
right,
that drink or drug to be them.
right.
And what they don't realize is you don't need the drink or the drug to be yourself, right?
No, you don't.
It's almost like
And,
good.
oh, you're right. And a lot of the times, I've known a few friends that are heavy drinkers, and I've mentioned it to them like, hey, dude, you know what? I understand. Yeah, once or twice a year we go out, we celebrate a party. We have a buddy's birthday party. We have, celebrate a big milestone or something. That's that. Okay, that's fine. You do that maybe once a year. I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't call that a problem if you're only doing that once a year, once every 3 years, once every 5 years. It happens to all of us. Anyone who says it doesn't happen to them is lying to you and lying to themselves. Because we've all been there. You get lost in the moment, it happens. Anyone who tells you any different is not telling you the truth. Um, but I had a buddy that was literally going out all the time, and I'm like, hey man, you know, I'm not gonna go. Like, I got to work in the morning. I have to be up early. I'm up at 4 o'clock. I'm up at 4:30, and dude was literally partying all night long. I remember getting calls from him at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. He's too wasted. He needs to get home, and so I'd go pick him up, take him home, and he's calling other people to join him at his house and trying to coax me into staying. And he's got to be to work at like 11 o'clock or noon or second shift time, and he's up just pounding drinks hard all night long. And you could literally tell, you can smell the alcohol on him a day or two later. Like, he was going into work still. I'm convinced he was still drunk. Um, and I had to cut it off. I'm like, hey man, I'm like, you know what? I can't be around you when you are like that.
Yeah.
It
Well, that's
cost him a friendship.
that's what happens with a lot of these. I'm just seeing Indie MGTOW. Sorry if
Yeah.
this was too preachy or too what he called it, shithouse therapists and doctors. Look, man, we want you around if you're suffering that problem, and I'm just pointing it out that maybe there's a problem here. And Jimmy, I'm not trying to attack you at all. If you think I'm attacking anybody, I'm not pointing anybody out. I'm just I'm pointing you guys out because you're saying you're feeling attacked or you had enough of this conversation. That's fine. Eh,
Well,
It's your life, man. It's
yeah,
it's your life, not mine. So if this is the like I said at the beginning of this, I'd rather you know where you're going than just you don't know, right? So you can make those decisions now that you're informed or at least partially informed, or maybe you'll start looking into you know some of this stuff. Maybe you'll sleep on it and maybe say, maybe I need to go check things out. That's all. I just want you to think about it. That's all I'm saying, because again, it's your life, not mine.
yeah,
It's yours. So you have to pick the life you want to lead. That's all we're
right.
trying to do here.
And yeah, and all we're saying is, especially at this time of year, there's a lot of people dealing with what I call like end of year syndrome. Like they look at and they're like, I'm not where I thought I would be at this point in my life. I'm not, I don't like where I'm at. I hate my job. I hate where I live. I don't like my neighbors. I don't like my family. And you have to nut up. You have to swallow your pride a little bit. You got to go and deal with those people. And a lot of times it's very difficult to do. And oftentimes these are the times of year where a lot of people overconsume. And I don't want to be preachy. I don't want to like tell you what to do. The only thing I'm going to say is be mindful of what you do. And we have a very small community,
Yeah.
and every person in this community is important.
Well, a lot. I don't want to say a lot, but sometimes people who are in this mindset will be like, I don't care. I want to die. I'm going to die someday. Well, fuck it. At least I'll go out happy and all this stuff. But the problem is that you're going to be living a life that's not going to be very happy. That's not going to go
Right.
a way that you want it to go. And you could say, I don't care. I want to die eventually because I'm so depressed or whatever. But I
Yeah.
guarantee you, if you're laying on a bed and you're bedridden and you're suffering, because these things
Oh
lead
yeah.
to a lot of suffering,
Oh yeah.
you're 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 not going to want to die.
No. Yeah. No matter how miserable you truly are, um, death is not the way out. A permanent solution to a temporary problem never works. I've spent time in EMS. I've seen people, you know, check out, so to speak. Keep it YouTube safe. I've seen people self check out. I've seen people check out due to actions not of their own. I've seen people leave a lot of different ways. And dude, it from what I can tell, it doesn't look like any fun. Um,
Well, and see,
it's
here's the
some
thing
and
too.
it's something we all have to do though.
Here's the thing too. Guys who say, I just want to check out of this world or whatever, they're not listening to the manosphere content because they've already checked out. They already have put a stamp on their life as that's the way they're going to go, and they're going to go full on into it. But the
Yeah.
guys in this sphere, right, who have lived through horrible shit, right? Like I kind of talked on one of my streams about Andy Dufresne, right, crawling through that pipe of shit, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You're not stopping crawling, right? You
No.
have a will to fucking live, guys.
Exactly.
You're
Exactly.
listening to this stream. You're listening to
You're here.
You're listening to Hammer Stream and Pop Stream and all this shit because you have a will to fucking live, right?
Right.
And by drinking, you are putting yourself on a different path that isn't gonna lead to a happy life. And that's
Yeah.
what a lot of the manosphere shit is about, living a happy life for yourself.
Living your best life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. I don't know how many guys I've heard in the past 20 years talk about living your best life, doing the best you can with what you got, enjoying what you got in life. And I've probably beaten this dead horse to a pulp. So many people I've talked to within the community, um, they have they come to the meeting like, well, how do you look at life? Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? I'm like, I just look at them like, that's not how I look at it. It's all a matter of perspective. Is your glass half full? Is your glass half empty? You can look at it that way. Or you can look at it from the point of the fact that at least you have a glass. And when you start to look at it that way, you'll look at life differently.
So I saw Rhino is about 20 or so minutes out, and the
Yeah,
interview I did with the guy,
yeah,
everybody knows, and he was in the chat earlier, but he couldn't be here live because he's in treatment right now. That's Angler Senior. I know you guys saw him in the chat here earlier. So I did an interview with him, and it's about 20 minutes long. And we touch on some of the subjects we talked about here a little bit. But I want you to see that this was a guy who was deep, deep into this shit. Bad. Real bad.
hmm
And he is crawling his way out of this. Because he realized that this wasn't a life for him. So, and if you guys remember, I had him on the stream about a year ago, and it was kind of a bit of a disaster when he was on because he was drunk. And I knew he was having problems at that time. And to see the change that's happening with him is so incredible. And I want you guys to see, if you're dealing with this, that there is hope. So let me share this with you now, and then I see Rhino is about 18 minutes out, so this will all work out. If you want to hang around, Nate, it's up
oh
to
yeah,
you. And we'll get this video played. It's just basically me interviewing him. Some of the sound is a little off. I haven't listened to this since I did it with him yesterday, so I haven't listened to it. I can't quite remember all the things we talked about, so it's pretty raw. So, but we didn't go crazy off in the weeds, but we pretty much kept on track. So here we go. Let me add it in. I appreciate you coming on to my stream where we're talking about, not such a comfortable um, subject. And I've seen some of your videos lately, and I know a little bit of your situation based on your videos, what's been going on and whatnot with your life. So I just wanted to talk about some of the things that you've been dealing with and have dealt with. And, I want to make it so people understand that there is a way to get out of the situation that they're in. So I just want to ask, like, what made you realize that you had a problem?
Uh, I think the final deciding factor was how physically ill I was becoming. Obviously, it was affecting me mentally as well, but I got really sick there towards the end, like real bad physical symptoms. And I was just finally like, yeah, you're kind of dying here, dude. So,
If you don't
yeah.
mind me asking, how often would you drink?
Oh, for a long time, I was a daily drinker. I was to the point where I had to have it to level out.
What would be your What would be your pick? What would you drink?
Oh, I drank a lot of stuff, but it ended up cheap vodka, like it is for a lot of people. So,
Yeah, having dealt with people in my life who have gone down this road, it starts out with they're buying, they're the connoisseur, they're buying fancy stuff, and then as it gets more expensive because they need more of it and becomes a daily thing, then it gets the cheaper shit they're putting into their body, which
yeah.
is it's like a downward spiral that they're going down. So for you, it was physical pain. Was it like uh, something with your liver, your stomach? Like what kind of
Uh,
pain were you experiencing?
my liver, I ended up spending 7 days in the hospital at the start of all this. So they ran their tests and everything. And my liver wasn't great, but it wasn't bad, believe it or not. Um, they told me their words were my pancreas was about to pop. Um, my first 3 days in the hospital, I lost the ability to walk. My legs wouldn't work when I was with detoxing. That scared the hell out of me. I thought I had done some like neurological damage or something, but about the fourth day, I was able to get up on my feet and actually take a step. So my body was basically, it was kind of shutting down. You know what I mean?
So what was it your own self realization that like you were in trouble, or did somebody actually have to be like, "Hey, we need to get you to the hospital"?
A little bit of both. I was already in contact with the initial rehab facility that I ended up going to for my first 30 days. Uh, for whatever reason, I was still dragging my feet on that. And one night, my best friend, and he's got four sons, and his second oldest son, the two of them showed up at my door, knocking on my door, and they basically said, we can drag you out of here or you can walk out with us, but it's time to go. So
So this was obvious to
yeah,
everybody around you, and
the
probably,
people
but
closest
not.
to me, yeah.
But was it obvious to you? I mean, I guess a little bit that you were sensing that you had contacted a rehab, but I imagine if you were getting
It
to
was
such a point. Sorry, go ahead.
it was very obvious to me. Like I said, with the physical thing, without going into any graphic details, it got ugly.
Hmm.
So I knew, but honestly, man, those two probably saved me by showing up because I knew I wanted to go. But honestly, I was so messed up. I don't think I was capable of really doing that on my own. Probably not enough time.
Mhm.
So those two showing up, and I spent a couple nights at his house, and I had to drink. If not, it could have got real dangerous if I didn't at least keep myself level. And then 2 days later, another good friend of mine, he actually drove me up to the rehab facility, and they initially turned me away. They said I was in too bad a shape and I had to go to the hospital. So my friend took me to the hospital, and I spent 7 days there. And then I went from the hospital back to the rehab, and they took me for the 30 days. And then I came here after that.
So describe um, the treatment. Like, what can somebody expect if they've come to the point that you have, that you need, you need professional help, that you can't do it on your own, because a lot of people are like, I could beat this on my own. I'm good. Well, describe the process that goes on in one of these rehab situations.
First and foremost, you need to line up medical help. I'm not talking about psychological, I'm talking medical. Uh, Alcohol and benzos, to the best of my knowledge, are the only two things that can actually kill you coming off of them. And everybody's has different levels of dependency. You could be the guy that needs 4 beers or a six pack just to go to sleep at night, or you could be pulling on a handle of vodka all day just to stay level. So there's different levels of dependency, but that's still not something you don't mess with that. You know, because once you realize you're in real trouble, when you're withdrawing, you're probably too late to get help. So whether you have to go in through an ER or I don't know, just reach out to somebody, start that process. So first, make sure you're protected medically.
So
There's
what was
medication and everything.
what was like? How did you find the place that you eventually went to rehab? Was it just looking up in the phone book, or hey, I know somebody? Like, how'd you arrive at the place you were at?
I just started looking online, and then I found that place. I read the reviews; they were good. I called them, um, and just kind of set it up from there. I didn't know anybody. Now, since I've been in recovery, I mean, even people here, we're about an hour from that initial rehab that I went to. There's guys that come here from there still. So,
Hmm. So there's an initial 30-day where you're just detoxing, getting off the booze and medically getting yourself right. Correct.
that's part
Or
of it. The medical part I did in the hospital for the week. In a week long detox, that's a long detox. Usually those are around 3, 4 days, maybe tops.
hmm,
But I was there for 7 days. The 30 days, they do have like detox beds, they call them, but it's not a full medical detox. They don't have you on IVs and medications and all that. It's for people that aren't really in any danger. They're just uncomfortable.
hmm.
Um, and then, you're attending meetings all day, every day. They have 12-step meetings at night. And it's basically just a starting point, just to get the way it worked for me. It was more of someplace I knew I needed help. I didn't really know what frame of mind I needed to be in to be successful at it because I tried it on my own so many times. And that place it framed me up, um, it got me thinking the right way. Pretty, I guess that's the best way I can describe it. 30 days, if you got a serious problem, 30 days isn't enough. I mean, 30 days is enough to get you off of what you're on, basically.
Right.
Um, and I'm just going to come out and say it. If you have a real bad addiction, there's deeper seated things there.
Right.
And now that you're sober, now that you have clarity, now it's time to go work on those things with a sober mind.
Of course. I mean, there's a reason that you become an alcoholic, right?
Yes.
Um, so, all right. So you're currently in treatment now. Um, and so how
Yeah.
long has that process been, and how much longer as far as being in a facility? Because I know, having dealt with people in my own life, that this is going to be a lifelong situation.
Mhm. Yeah. I've been here since the middle of May. Um, I'm looking at maybe being here maybe a year tops. It is residential, we have freedoms and all that, but it's just it cuts out all the temptation and just lets you work on things. And of course, I'm around peers that are doing the same thing, so that helps. It's different, man. It's a real commitment. Um, a lot of your life gets put on hold, but if you don't do that, you might not have a life to put on hold later on down the line. So, yeah, this place is like considered like long-term care. That rehab is short-term. I think the longest stay there was 90 days. I would have stayed 90 at that place. I liked it, but my insurance would only cover the 30. So,
So describe this place you're in now. You're saying it's like a residency. So,
mhm.
if you don't mind me asking, like, uh, is your insurance covering this, or like, how does that work?
No, this certain facility is kind of unique. It's all self-funded. It's Christ-centered. We have 5 stores, and uh, outlying towns from here, and they sell this stuff through the stores. So it's all self-funded. There's, the government doesn't have their hand in it or anything like that. There's no insurance or anything like that. If you want the help, it's here. You do have to make certain commitments. Kind of, I guess you could call them qualifiers. But yeah, this place it's unique. I've not come across any place like this. Looking around and whatnot. So
Now, have you? Now, you had mentioned that you had tried to quit on your own many times. Is this your first time in a professional facility?
yeah. Mm.
Okay, because I was wondering if you can have some kind of comparison of how it was before, but this is your first time. So, if you don't mind me asking, around, I'd say you're in your 50s.
I just turned 47, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, right around there.
All right, so you're still young and you still got plenty of life in you. You're actually younger than me.
Okay.
And, we're all getting old, right? But
Right.
there's a lot of guys in and around our age who are experiencing this. Some guys even younger than us who are dealing with these kind of problems and issues. So I imagine these kind of treatment facilities are open through, to all age ranges.
Oh yeah. Yep. Now the guys in the program here, they're more they're more our age, But the ones that come in off the streets, man, young Billy.
Yeah.
I talked to a 22-year-old kid the other night, man, baby faced. I'm like thinking to myself, man, what are you doing here? Just young.
So describe, if you could, just briefly, like what would make up constitute a day of treatment?
Day of treatment. So 3 days a week, first thing in the morning, we meet and have devotionals. Basically, somebody will either volunteer or be picked. They'll pick out a piece of scripture that they like, that relates to them. They'll read it, and then it's not really a group discussion. That person will just kind of say what that scripture meant to them or why they found it unique or important to them. Um, we have one-on-ones once a week with a counselor. There's 3 different counselors here, and there's different phases to the program. So each phase has a different counselor. And then we attend meetings that we choose outside of here. So there's a couple different meetings that I go to that aren't even, part of the program here that we just go to on our own.
Now, you had mentioned that this facility, they self fund with running stores and whatnot. Is there like a work program that you can be involved in, or are you involved in that?
Yeah, that's part of the requirements of actually being in the program. You have to work for the program. Um, so basically, we're just part of it, but the work that we do puts money back into the program that's helping us. If that does that make sense?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I imagine if you're there and you've committed to this amount of time both there, that you are really getting something out of this program.
I am.
Yeah. Um,
Yep. Uh,
Let me ask,
I'll
what do you hope to gain once you leave there? How, where do you expect your life to go after you're done with this program?
um, Obviously, I got to throw in, sober life. I'll tell you what, a lot comes to you very quickly. When you sober up, once you gain that clarity, things start coming to you awful quick. I already know, back to the facility that I was in for my initial 30 days. Um, the couple of days before I left there, I'm getting ready for discharge. I'm meeting with my counselors and caseworkers up there, and they told me to get a year of sobriety under my belt, and they want me to go back there. They said apply, so they want me to go work for them. Um, and I definitely want to go that avenue. I want to get some certifications and become an addictions counselor myself. Um, I'm not there yet. I think I still have some more work to do on myself. But as far as career wise, things like that, that's the direction I want to take. Um, Definitely being here, obviously being Christ centered. I've always been a believer. Obviously, I strayed far away from that, and I don't want to get too deep into that here. You know what I mean? That's for a different conversation.
Sure.
But I'll focus on that a little more for sure. And yeah, man, I want to give back. I've worked by trade. I'm a machinist. I worked in the tool and die trade.
Hmm.
I went to trade school for that, and that's a great trade to be in. Anybody that's in it and enjoys it, keep going. They need young people for sure. But I don't know. For me personally, I didn't find any purpose in it. Um, Maybe part of that is because I was drinking all the time. I don't know. But I really think deep inside that I have something to offer, you know, in the recovery community and doing that type of work. Um, Obviously, I stated in one of my videos, MGTOW is a big part of my recovery. I mean, it's right up there with everything else. And I think I can really help other men in that way. There's many different ways you can help men, but you know, trying to find one that's unique to you, I think that might be my niche. So,
That's really cool. I mean, that is such an amazing turnaround. And to be working towards this goal is,
mhm.
is really, this is the thing. Like, I'm trying to give guys hope that they don't need to rely on alcohol or drugs or whatnot to get through life and the pain. And that on the other side of this, there is hope and purpose and accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And I think that you are living that I don't want to say living the dream. You're living
Yeah.
the thought of, that there is a life after this, that you can
Mhm.
get yourself clean, you can find
Mhm.
purpose if you don't have purpose, because a lot of people who are alcoholics, they have lost purpose in life, right? So
Absolutely.
that's totally, I'm a little speechless that this is what you have decided to do, that to help men and help people with addiction. It's I really don't know how to express it in words.
Yeah. Just give me a good old fashioned good luck. And that sounds like a winner chicken dinner to me.
Absolutely, good luck. I'm really impressed with the work you're doing, with how you are turning things around in your life, and how you are totally committed to changing yourself for the better, and for changing for the future changing of men in the same situation. As that is really, uh, again, I'm speechless. That someone who can think of the world in that way, especially in the world that we're living in now, that you'd want to give back in such a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Just paying it forward. You know.
Yeah. Well, I wish you luck, and I think we're going to end it here. And let me ask you this: can people reach
Mhm.
out to you and discuss their problems that they're having, as far as dealing with alcohol?
Absolutely 100%. Yeah.
And Do you
Yeah,
have ways of
I'll
putting?
happily share my email.
Cool. Yeah, I will definitely put it in the description of this video
I'm
if you
sorry,
don't
Bill.
mind.
Yeah, and I was going to say we can start with emails. Depending on how far anybody wants to go, we can eventually go to phone numbers or whatever anybody's comfortable with. But absolutely, yeah, I
That's
encourage anybody.
that's so awesome. Oh, of course, give a plug to your channel. I'll put it in the description as well, but give a shout out to your channel. What's the
Angler
channel name?
Senior,
Good. Angler Senior. All right. I'll put it in the description so people can find
Angler
you
Senior.
easy. And definitely, guys, if you are struggling and you want to change, you got to reach out to people like this who have walked that life and who are making a change and who could help you either on their, one to one, or put you in contact with people who can help you make that change. But you got to make the change. You got to make that first step. So, again, I'm really thank you for coming on and sharing. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I'm happy to, Billy. Thanks for having me.
All right, are we back? All right, everybody. I don't know what's going on Billy's end, but I hope you can hear me. I'm
Oh
still watching the
shit.
chat.
Oh fuck. Oh
It's all right,
man.
man.
I did it again. Oh
That's what
Lord,
she
Lord.
said.
I'm sitting there
Uh,
talking and I didn't even realize. I'm
uh,
like, all right, Nate, come on. I'm talking. Let me talk here. Uh, okay. So what did I just say? Okay. I said, thank you to Angler. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And I hope a lot of people will get something out of that. And thanks for sharing what's going on in your life and for helping out the people in this manosphere by offering your assistance with people who may be having these problems. I was going to say that Red Pill Rhino is going to come on here in a moment to join us. I can't believe I'm just fucking up all over the place tonight. And you guys, I see people are thanking me. You guys don't have to thank me for the stream. Look, this is just something. If I see a problem, I got this. I have a problem where I just have to say something. Sometimes I have a bit of a mouth where it's just like, hey, hey, pal, you need to fix this. You need to do something about this. Let's. Nobody wants to talk about this. Let's talk about this because it's all kind of danced around the edges. People like kind of mention it here and kind of mention it there, but nobody wants to deal with this directly or say anything about it. I'm not doing it for anybody's thanks or subscribers or you to say sorry for what happened in my life or any of that bullshit. No, I want guys who are having this problem. I just want you to realize that it's okay to realize that you have this problem. It's okay to reach out to somebody if you feel that you're in too deep. All right, that that you can't figure a way out and you've tried so many times to get out of it and you just can't. You can't do it, right? So just realize you could take that step and reach out past yourself, right? It's you're not weak for saying I need help, right? A guy who's in the ocean alone can't swim that ocean, all the entire ocean, right? You need that ship to come along and kind of throw you that life preserver. And I hope this stream will be that life preserver for you. And that's really what I hope you get out of this if you are, in fact, swimming that ocean. So, Rhino's going to be here in a moment. No man is an island. No, not at all. No, often, men, the way you were raised and whatnot, is we just deal with our problems on our own. We know how to take care of it. Don't you know how to do things on your own? Come on, fix yourself. You can do it. Buck up, son. You know, yeah, but sometimes things get a little too much for your own that you, that you can't, and you need to reach out. What more do you have for us, Nate? While we wait for Rhino, who's apparently
Well,
up from space.
uh, I was actually just gonna type something into the chat, but I can just say it here freely. People looked at world history, human history, and can point out titans in history, giants, individuals who have built the society that we are able to enjoy today. We live in a society that we stand on the shoulders of giants who've come before us, men that have planted trees to provide the shade we sit below today, knowing they would never sit in that shade, knowing that somebody would have to stand on their shoulders to build and improve society. Society has lost its way, and it's kind of a hard thing to do, to know that guys like us, we can go and plant a tree and know that we will never sit beneath the shade of that tree. We know that we have to be big guys, we have to be strong men, we have to do the things not many others can do, and someone in our community now needs to be the man willing to let others stand on our shoulders, to get up and to move on, and to make our community and our society a better place. Um, a lot of people have used the phrase and overused it in the past 5 years of, um, I can't remember all of it right off the top of my head right now. I'm drawing a blank, but it's about strong men build great society. Was it strong men build good societies? Good societies breed weak men. Weak men build weak societies. We're living that cycle, and we need to be able to change that. And as uncomfortable as it is to have people come out and stand up and talk about it, someone has to. Um, it's not glamorous. It's gonna, rub some people the wrong way. It's gonna, ruffle some feathers with people. It's definitely gonna get some hate from some direction out there. I know that. I understand that. This may be something that someone's not willing or ready to hear right now. But you know what? For everyone that's out there that won't be ready to hear this, there's someone out there that's ready to hear this. And this is who that's for.
Yeah, yeah, definitely for certain.
And Billy, I don't want to cut you off, but
No, it's fine.
you've been the one dude that will call something out in our community. You've always done that. Good, bad, indifferent, funny, not funny, different perspectives on things. You're kind of that breath of fresh air within our community,
Oh,
and hopefully I can learn from you and be like you, and call things out in our community as I see things go wrong, and offer the help that I can with my base of knowledge.
I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this stream with me and helping me through it because I did need some help at some times with
Hey
this.
man,
It was a little rougher than I expected, but I think we're on the later part of it. And I see Edwin. Thanks for saying to shout me out. Usually my channel's just goofy, silly stuff. Like I said, I owe you guys because my streams lately have been just very dark and depressing. So I definitely we need to do some Are You Smarter Than a Porn Star ones, and some silly looking at YouTube video ones, and yeah, I like making people laugh and feel good and feel better with life and not all depressed and sad all the time. That's my goal with this channel. So, but when I see something, there was an incident that happened, and it really kind of upset me a bit. It happened a while ago, and I couldn't stop thinking of it since. And I just like I finally I have to do something, even though I didn't really want to do this stream, but I just felt compelled to do it. So, and on that note,
Ryan was here. Yeah. Well, Billy, you just spurred an idea in my brain that I know that you will have way too much fun with.
oh boy.
Are you smarter than a single mom?
Yeah, but then I have to have people I have to have single moms answer the question.
You
I already
can probably
have
find that on the Chinese Spy app.
maybe I'll have to look into that one. Rhino, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. I had to set that up last second, so. All right.
Thanks
Sorry
for
that sorry that I'm late.
All right.
Long story short, they screwed up a delivery, so I was the guy they picked to send it back on another 4-hour round trip. So that was, yeah. But we're here.
Yeah. So, if anybody's been watching Rhino lately, although you haven't really been on lately, but
Yeah.
prior to you taking off your month,
Right.
everybody needs a break every once in a while. I'm going to be taking a break end of December, by the way, if anybody cares.
There you go.
Yeah, for a couple weeks. So, you've been dealing with some health issues
Yeah.
that that you have no problem speaking about. And if you want to go into them here or want to go into anything related to the topic, by all means, I've talked enough, I feel, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about this.
Sure. I guess I'll give you a little backstory first. I mean, skip the 20s because, I mean, I was drinking like a fish in my 20s, but who wasn't? Lots of partying and camping and stuff like that. So I, back then you're fairly indestructible, but it eventually catches up to you. So I had actually quit drinking, I would say a couple times in my life, or just years without touching it. One of those times was in a relationship a couple of years ago, right? I actually dated a girl that was an alcoholic, and because of that, like, I was very anti-alcohol, tried to help her get off of it or whatever, and that only lasted so long until she chose the alcohol over the relationship. And that's how it goes. Which sucked, and that led me to start drinking. Right? Because she had moved on and moved out, already found a new guy who probably was there before this even ended, but whatever, right? And I found myself, going to the store. And at first it was just, get one of those cheladas or whatever, you know what that is. And then that turned into two. And then that turned into every day. And then that turned into not sleeping very well at night because this whole situation had just happened. And I caught myself just drinking every day, right? And working. Still functional, still working, lots of hangovers. But here's the thing. This story gets darker, yeah? I initially went into drinking because, heartbreak. And that was a way to kind of mask it, even though ironically this was because I dated an alcoholic. This should have been the last place I went, but at this point, no F's left to give. I'm going to try to be as cleaned up on this channel as I can. And that eventually led to a habit forming. And then it wasn't so much about I'm hurt. It was more, this is just what I do. I get off work and I drink, and it kind of numbed everything. And that's how I dealt with it. And like you were saying, it went from a 6-pack of, out in Colorado, there's a lot of fancy breweries. So it went from a 6-pack of the good stuff to, well, now I'll take anything. So I'll get a couple of those tall boys. And eventually that was Twisted Tea. And if you know what I'm doing, I'm in the keto diet now. If you look at the sugar content and the alcohol content of a Twisted Tea, I was killing 48 ounces of that a night or more, sometimes 4 of those tall cans, which to some people that doesn't sound like much, but let me tell you something that for me that was enough. All right, and I was doing that every night. I'm not talking about like Saturday, Sunday, Friday. No, this was every fucking day, and it was normal for me. I got off work and I drank, and that was just to de-stress from everything. Like I said, it became a habit, so it was normal for me. A lot of the things you're saying in the show, I relate to. It's like, I just want to get done with work so I can get a beer, you know? And that became a regular thing. Now, my family has a history of alcoholism. My grandfather was an alcoholic. He finally beat that habit, but there was all sort of experimental weird shit they were doing then, electroshock therapy and everything. He went through all that. Yeah, so I'd seen, not personally, I mean, I went to the hospital when I was young, and I guess he was in for that, but I didn't understand it. But I knew, all right? My dad, same thing, alcoholic his entire life, and he went nowhere. Like, he's the guy that didn't amount to anything because alcohol destroyed his career and his family. That's a whole other story for a different day. Anyway, I find myself in the situation where I'm drinking every day. And like you said, I'll quit tomorrow. You know, I know this isn't good, but just one more day. I just need to fucking relax one more day. I'm stressed out, you know, bills to pay and bullshit going on, and the job sucks and the world's shit and COVID and whatever. You know, the whole thing. So I just kept putting it off. And I was streaming while doing this, by the way. I talk about, you guys were talking about earlier on the show, where you think you need something. Well, I was doing that. Like, I'd slam the beers before a show and during the show to kind of cool my jets a little bit. And here I am doing shows, for 3 months without it. Excuse my language. I'm trying to be on my best behavior here. But for 3 months, I wasn't drinking on shows. By the way, last week, somebody was giving me crap in the comments. Rum coffee is a flavored coffee. It doesn't actually have alcohol in it. So I just want to point that out. But yeah, it's not the alcohol that gave me the courage to do the show. It was me, but I was holding on to the alcohol. You know, that's how I get through the show. That's how I do this. That's how I relax. That's how I enjoy my weekend or after work or cooking, like you're saying, making something on the barbecue. It became every excuse. And of course, I'm living now and then, but living next door to a gas station, so I can walk over there and get alcohol anytime. It's just a few steps down the road. Stand by. I got to fix the mic really quick. I have a problem here. Let me reset it.
A little bit of skipping. Reboot.
Okay, I think we're back. Right? Can you hear me?
It's a little airy sounding, like you just took off in a jet. Oh, now it's calming down. No, now it's good. Sounds
Okay,
good now.
everything's leveling out. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, originally it was heartbreak. That was my reason, if it's even a valid reason. But then it became a habit, and it became an excuse, and it became I'll just have one. Led to 2, led to 4, led to. I don't know how I did it. There were days I was hungover to the point where anxiety was a regular thing, and it was anxiety because of a hangover, because it felt like I was dying every day while I was working. And that's no fun. But then I go home and, well, I'll drink. That'll make me feel better. You make all these bullshit excuses for it. And, okay, let's fast forward. July 1st was a Friday night, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong. July 1st, I got on a stream. Same thing as always. Got the Twisted Tea. I think two 24 ounces or whatever. And I was already noticing some problems. Obviously, weight gain. I was kind of embarrassed about that too, especially being in this space where we talk about health and everything. And I'm watching the scale creep up. Before I'd started the show, I did like exercise for like 6 months or whatever. And then I got sick, and then I gave up on it. I hit a plateau, whatever. Anyway, and I got the weight down to about 175, which was still pretty high. I'm 5'7", so I'm not the tallest guy in the room here. So for me, that was already high, and I watched it after I stopped exercising creep up to 202 at its peak. Okay, fast forward again to July 1st, I noticed some problems with indigestion. Every time I eat something, I'm getting heartburn. Something just isn't right. And then I have those 2 teas that night, maybe 3. It might have been 3. And I start getting this heartburn feeling. I'm like, I'll just sleep it off. That's fine. It is what it is. I'm just getting older. It must be heartburn. Every excuse not to look at a holistic approach and realizing what my body is screaming at me. So I go to bed, pop a couple Tums, which is full of sucralose, by the way, if you didn't know. And I wake up the next morning and I have pain. And I mean, like, on my knees, pain. Like, I get up from the bed and I'm like, oh, dear God. And it's, this is my right side. So it's all, well, the mic's kind of in the way there. It's all right here, right? So I go to the ER and they asked, have you had your appendix out? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, I sure hope I don't need it out. And they run me through these tests, and I'm in the ER for hours, man. And that's not the important part of the story, but it's a wake-up call, right? They put me in the CT thing, and the machine breaks, so they have to pump the crap into my arm manually, and that's a big syringe, and they're pushing it. This sucks. So they put me in the CT thing. Then I go back to the room in my little gown with my butt hanging out. You know how that goes. And I'm miserable. And they asked me if I want any pain meds. And I'm like, no. What's your equivalent of Motrin? I don't want any of your hard stuff that makes it so I can't drive home. I hate meds. Ironically, I'm poisoning myself every day, and I hate meds, right? So they finally come back with the results. And probably the rest of my life, I will not forget what she says. You don't need a liver transplant yet. What? The yet word I still have yet to determine. I got to go back to the doctor on the 6th of December. But my liver was inflamed. I'm not exactly sure what the measurements are supposed to be, but mine was 19 centimeters or something inflamed. They found fatty liver, and my A1C, I'd just taken my blood work before. And again, I didn't take it as serious until I'm in the ER. They said I had pre-diabetes, an A1C. I can't remember what the level was now, but it was 80, maybe 85, something like that, just at the bottom of pre-diabetes. And of course, if they say it's just at the bottom, it's no big deal. Right. It's no big deal. But meanwhile, I feel like I have to have, surgery right now for this pain. Anyway, that was my wake-up call. That's where I was like, okay, this ain't right. And, I started looking into it, and I found a lot of things other than alcohol that were probably a cause too, but let's just not beat around the bush. Drinking every day, especially twisted teas. I was wrecking my health. My weight was going up. By the way, I stopped drinking magically. I don't need anything. No antacids, no omeprazole, nothing. No heartburn. And I eat ghost peppers, scorpion peppers, all of it. No heartburn. It's magic how that works. I stopped treating my body like shit. And suddenly, I don't have any indigestion issues. Bowel movements become normal. Not to TMI, but when you're drinking every day, it's a roller coaster, I'll tell you that. Now, I have still some complications I'm going to have to talk to the doctor about. I don't know. I'm taking a holistic approach and kind of going through, okay, this causes this, which causes this. So I'm still having pains. It's usually in my rib, my back. It's a dull pain, but my liver got pretty jacked up, right? It was mild, but mine, all the alarms came on. To add to that, I imagine what's going on now. I changed my diet. I dropped all carbs, all sugars, alcohol. I've had a drink at a game or whatever. I go to a baseball game, I had a drink. No big deal, but I'm not drinking every day. I'm not coming home and drinking. I've got a rum flavored coffee because it's nice to sip on at night, but it doesn't have any alcohol. It's just the taste, you know. I like the taste. Maybe that's one of my cardinal sins there, but so be it. But I've changed my diet. I've lost 31 pounds. I'm kind of at a plateau again, but it's to be expected. So I'm down to 171 now from 202 on July 3rd. And what I imagine's going on, and this is just a guess, I got to talk to a doctor, probably a specialist after that, but my liver is starting to heal from all that process, getting rid of all that fat. I think what's going on, and I'm, again, not the doctor, this is just my opinion, I think what's going on is my gallbladder is now picking up the slack for all the damage my liver had to deal with, and it's trying to process all that fat through, which is causing some inflammation, maybe buildup of fat in there, which is causing a pinched nerve. If you didn't know, there is a nerve that goes through that area, which is now causing the neck and shoulder pain I'm dealing with the last week. So it's a whole process. So long story short, alcohol on the front end seems all fun, but later, this Jurassic Park quote, there's running and screaming. It's true. It starts off all fun, and maybe it is because you're depressed, or maybe it's because you lost a loved one, or a breakup, or whatever the reason is. It starts off like, oh, this feels so great. But then later, even after you've stopped drinking 4 months, the repercussions, the damage that you've got to recover from is there's a price to pay. And like I said, no alcohol in my system, drinking water and coffee. That's all I drink. Eating vegetables and meats, you know, no carbs, no sugars. That's part of this too. That's a whole topic I can get into my show. We won't get into that here, but I'm still dealing with it. I'm still paying for the decision I made. And that was, let's see, 2019 to today, that many years of drinking every day. Not as much as I've heard some other guys, but it was enough. It messed me up. And so here I sit, you know. Here's the other thing, fun fact, not everybody recovers from fatty liver. It, in some people, turns into fibrosis and then cirrhosis. So, you know, there's no guarantee. So I have to accept that. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll be okay. But I also have to accept the fact that there's a possibility I may have damaged it and caused some serious long-term health problems because of it. Now, I'm hoping that's not what happens. But you can't treat your body like a trash dump and expect good things to come from it. And that's what I did. And it's an embarrassment, you know. I'm glad that I made a correction in that. And I woke up. And fortunately, that's inspiring some other guys to take some action. But your check engine light will come on at some point. And what Billy's getting at here, at least I'm assuming, is maybe we can get you to not have to get to the point where the check engine light comes on. I don't want to see that for you guys. And I know at the time you're going to make every excuse and it's not going to happen to me and just one more day and all that. Look, waking up in a hospital and finding out that I'm on the path that could lead to transplant not needed yet. Okay, that's serious. I don't want anybody to have to go through that. That's bullshit. You shouldn't have to get to that point to go, oh yeah, now it's a problem. And when you're drinking, it's no big deal. And if anybody ever tries to correct you, I know I'm guilty of it. It's not a problem. I'm fine. Don't judge me. Yeah. Well, listen, the people that are coming to you and talking to you about it, they care. If they didn't care, they wouldn't talk to you about it. Now, I can't tell you how to live your life. It's your life. All right. What you choose to do is your choice. But this whole thing made me realize, look, I kind of do like this planet that I'm living on. I might not necessarily like all the people on it, all the politics, but, you know, the grass, the trees, the animals, all that shit's pretty good. You know, I enjoy it. I enjoy waking up and seeing the sunrise. You know, I'm not ready to go. And if you don't change your life and correct some of these decisions, I don't know. I don't know how many years I took off my life already doing this stupid shit. It wasn't worth it. So hopefully I can correct my health and add a few years back on, because I'm not even close to ready to go. And this woke me up. You know, it was it took the whole concept of people don't care unless it's happening to them. Yeah, I'm telling you, don't wait until you're the one it's happening to, because that's not fun. That's it. I mean, if you have any questions or For anything, I'm happy to answer anything. I'm open book on this.
Was I thank you for sharing. We've had two guys who you and Angler obviously who have been down this road and see that
Mm.
the road is not exactly the best road to travel,
Yeah.
and that you're making these changes. And again, as I said a couple times in this stream, the whole reason we're doing this is so you guys can see if you're in this situation to turn it around, and that you can turn it around, and then you can get off that ride. I mean, you said everything, Rhino, that you kind of you put the cherry on the sundae, really, with your both your story and your continuing recovery. So, how old are you, by the way? If you don't mind me asking.
About to be 37.
So you're still pretty young, right? So you got a lot of life left in you.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know where to what else I could say on this subject other than guys, if this show has hit a nerve with you on any level, whether it's hey I know somebody, hey I kind of maybe I kind of feel some of these things that are being said kind of resonate,
Yeah.
then maybe it's time to make that change.
I'll tell you what, just to add this really quick, if you want to see an actual demonstration of the change, just go watch one of my videos prior to July of this year. Any video. Just pick one. Don't even have to watch more than 5 minutes of it. Just turn it on and look at me. And now look at, me here tonight. You'll see it. You'll see the bags under my eyes. You'll see the weight. You'll see the character as well. It's all there. You can see the signs. That should show you just watching that transformation.
And I'm glad that you're here and that we can fuck with you all the time.
Right. Well,
On that
That's the
note-
most important fucking with Rhino.
right. Well, the one thing that I'd like to speak for myself on this, as well as I know there's a few other guys within the community that are of the same opinion. If you think you're going through this and you're having a rough time going through this, we have a community for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
If there's somebody within our community that you trust, that you have built a friendship with, that you think you can talk to about this stuff, I would say feel free to reach out to any of us. We are here to help. It's kind of part of being a community, and there are individuals that are more than willing to help if you reach out to someone and they say, hey, you know what, I can't really help you, but I know so and so is a good resource for this. Let me put you in contact with XYZ or whoever it may be.
Yeah.
And there are regular, like Rhino's Gilded community, there's a regular group of people that get together and chat on a daily basis. It's kind of become a social outlet for people. Even within Pop's community for supporters, it's built a background community and a network of people to stay in connection and communication with people, and found help with different things there. So there is the spark of a community building of people looking to help each other out. I know there's a lot of guys that I've talked to in the back. I am by no means a pillar of this community, so to speak. I'm just one of the guys that sits in the back and cracks jokes every now and then, tasteful or untasteful, but still I do it. Sometimes I'm that guy that literally will make a comment just to slap someone across the face to kind of make them reset a little bit, if and when they need to. But sometimes someone has to do that. But yeah, if you're out there in the community and you're willing to help somebody, stand up and help. It doesn't have to be get on a live stream. It doesn't have to be start a community. It doesn't have to be all this. All you have to do is just be willing to help somebody work through this.
Yeah.
And We may not be in the same town. We may not all see each other on a daily basis, but you know what? We have a network where we can connect and help each other. And that's what this is about.
Calliope's. I wonder if she has a Z. Is the Z for like Z28? Come here. See, that's my car thinking. Anyway, she says, "What if you know someone who has a problem but will not acknowledge it, and you're afraid that if you push too hard, you will ruin the relationship? What
Eh,
would you guys suggest?"
Well, I'll tell you from experience. Look, the answer is yes. Long story short, if you do push them, you may ruin that relationship. That's definitely possible. I wouldn't have listened. I mean, I would have listened to you. Like, yeah, drinking's a fucking problem. I get it, but I'm not drinking as much as that guy. I could have word solided my way out of anything you told me logically about my health. It's not that bad. The hangovers only last 4 hours. you know, it's not funny. It's not funny, but it is. Like, my point is I'm not going to listen to you until I'm ready to listen myself. And I had to listen to myself. My liver told me. It said, "Hey, you're going to die." So
All right.
that's how
All
I.
right, Ryan, I'll just to make this a little bit lighter, just to make everybody laugh. Anybody could have talked to you and you wouldn't listen. Challenge accepted, man. Challenge accepted. Because you know me. We've been live streaming together for a little over a year now. But yeah, I mean, I've told you a couple of times a few things on live streams and stuff like that, and you're like, whatever. And dude, when have I been wrong?
Well, yeah.
And I'll admit, yeah, I'm kind of a dick sometimes. I'll say things that, hit a little harder than they probably should. But
That's fine.
sometimes I've had to do it.
Yeah.
And Jimmy put in the chat that he's had a few knife hands from me on a few occasions. Yeah, he
Yeah.
has.
Well,
We all have. I give them to myself all the time.
I mean, okay, to be a little bit more positive, you can talk to your friends and you can say, "Hey, look, you're screwing up your life. It's your decision whether you want to stop or not, but I'd like to see you here." Honestly, that's the bummer. The only thing that snapped me out of it was an ER room. That was
Well,
it.
for me, it wouldn't have been any different than what I did here tonight. I mean, for me, that person, if they're important enough for me to say something to, then I'm totally going to risk a relationship because at least I tried. At least I made that bombing run, even if that bombing run might not have hit the target.
Yeah.
At least I would have made the attempt.
Well, another thing that I've done in the past with friends that I know that were, definitely over consuming is I would challenge them. I'd go and see them every day. Like, go to their place. "Hey, dude, let's go out for dinner. I'll buy dinner. Hey, I'll tell you what, I'll pay for dinner tonight if we don't consume any alcohol. I'll put the challenge out there. You don't have no drinks with dinner tonight, no drinks at all tonight."
Yeah.
And then do the next day. "Hey, dude, I'll buy dinner. No alcohol. I won't drink. You won't drink." Dare them and challenge them and kind of get them to a reset moment and try to spend as much time as you can with them and try to socially and cognitively redirect them away from it to not give them time to sit by themselves and drink themselves into a stupor. That's one thing that I have done, and it's been very helpful.
I think that would work for a casual to moderate drinker, but I'm not sure that would work for an alcoholic. Just my thought on it. Again, I'm not an expert.
Yeah. Well, neither am I.
Not that I'm questioning what you're saying. I'm just saying, I think when you're deep in it, I think it just has to take some kind of wake up call, a moment of clarity of,
Yeah.
like what happened with you, Rhino.
Well, look, you can always sow the seeds. That is going to stick with you, and I'll explain that here briefly as well. With some of the guys that I'm talking to now, it's more than just alcohol. It's overall health. It's wellness. It's changing your diet and doing things to fix yourself. They came to me because I was doing it. I just did it. And then they said, hey, you know, I see you're losing weight and getting healthy. I want to do that too. Leading by example is one way you can sow the seeds. But the another thing, my mom told me a story. I wasn't close to my uncle, but she was close to him. And she didn't just tell me a story. I heard about it as it was happening. But my uncle died from cirrhosis. And from what she described, it was more painful and miserable and awful. So for all of you out there that say, you know what, I just don't care. You'll care then. I watched my stepdad completely waste away from cancer. It metastasized in all of his organs, his bones, everything. It was bad. He was gone in like 2 weeks. My mom was there for that. Okay, the reason I compare this now, my mom said watching her brother die from cirrhosis was worse than watching him waste away with cancer. It was a painful, long process. You don't want to be there. And so when I went in to the ER and they're talking about my liver, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember these stories, part of sowing the seeds, because you go, oh, yeah, I remember those. That didn't sound too fun. And that was another wake up call for me too. Like it runs in my family. So I don't want to go down that road. That's not a fun place.
Definitely not. Ronan says kicking the habit means creating new habits. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And once you start doing a habit that's healthy,
Yep.
you start wanting to do it more and more. So
Yeah. I've found that I have a routine. I base it on the best knowledge and science that I have. Now, I'm not perfect. Things change, but I have a routine. Okay. In place of a drink, if I want to drink at night, I'll have a cup of coffee. I have a whole process that makes it kind of a ritual, makes it fun for me. I have my kettle, put it on the stovetop, heat it up. The only old thing that whistles at you. Then I have a French press, and I do the whole thing with the coffee, and then I sip on it. Like I said, it's the rum flavor, whatever. And that's nice. Instead of the coffee, you'll see me with the coffee on the stream, and I have something to sip on, and it's relaxing. You know, some of the other habits, like I said, always replace them with good things. Instead of going out and getting the fast food and the beer, you know, I make a steak or some ribs or something that I enjoy eating. It's a healthy exchange for the terrible decisions I was making before. And I make those part of a ritual. You know, when I wake up, I do this. When I come home, I do this. And it gives me a purpose. And these are all good habits, and they're all reinforcing my health. That definitely helps a lot. If you just quit drinking and you don't replace it with something, there's a good chance you're going to go out and get a drink again. I know, because there were a couple little stumbles I had. It's not a perfect process. You don't just wake up one day and go, never drinking again. You know, it doesn't work like that. You will stumble. We're human. So.
Yep. And actually, in some cases, that's not good to just cold turkey. You can actually create health issues if you just cut it off. Sometimes if you're that deep in, you need medications and things to get you off it.
Yeah, I didn't get to that point, but I did, like Crusader was saying, I did have the headaches, I had the shakes, I had the whole fucking thing. It was like 3 weeks of that before I stopped feeling that way. So, yeah.
Shelly,
Yeah.
Skelly in the chat says if you do marathon wankery sessions. There you are, ended it on a fun.
I don't know if that's a healthy habit.
Well, I guess it could be.
I mean, I know some people would say when in doubt, rub one out, but you know,
There you go.
do what works for you.
Fap or no fapping.
Allegedly, of course.
Yeah.
Well, guys, do you want to wrap it with any final thoughts? We'll start. We'll do the round. There's only two of you tonight.
Well, yeah, there's only two of us, so I guess all I'd have to say is whether you listen to this live, whether you watch this live, or whether it's a recording you catch later in the future, do what works for you. Take care of you. make sure that you're here and you're not alone, no matter how tough you may think your everyday life may be. There is somebody out there that cares for you. They may not have the same blood type as you, they may not be in the same town as you, but you know what? There is a community of people out there that are glad you are here. Reach out and talk to somebody. Find whatever help works for you. Do what works for you. And like Thumper said a while back, a bunch of guys have said it before. We all get those dates on the tombstone, born on and the day you die. Make that little dash in between there. What looks so insignificant, make that dash mean something.
Yeah. What you got from me, Rhino?
I mean,
you did good. Thanks. Even though
Yeah.
you were late, you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I would have been here on time. I
That's all right.
tried my
No
ass off.
worries. Hey, everybody's got to, do their thing, make the money.
The day job.
Yeah.
I just leave it at this. Look, no matter what you're going through, no matter the reason why, even if there isn't a reason anymore and you just find yourself doing it, it's never, ever too late. Tomorrow's another day, another chance, and, an opportunity to make a better decision. That is a decision you're ultimately going to have to make yourself. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm going to definitely advocate the shit out of living a better life, especially on my show. I think it's important. I welcome you into the community. If you'd like to join Gilded and talk to us, we're always here for you. Nobody's going to bash you or hate on you. We're all here to try to help you make better decisions and be a better dude, And for the ladies out there, too, same thing. I know a couple of you watch.
Both of them.
Yeah. I say all three of them, but yeah, two of them that I know for sure. But listen, you can make the decision tomorrow that I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I don't want to have the hangovers. I don't want to be miserable every day. I don't want to have to use this to cope. I want a better life. If you make that decision, there is a group of men here that is willing to stand behind you and stand beside you and help keep motivating you to make good decisions. I know I absolutely have no problem doing that. I'll give you my personal number if that's what it takes. I'm happy to help you. I don't want to see you guys suffer. And I know what it's like. I've been there, done that. It's not fun, but it's never too late. Tomorrow is your opportunity to turn that all around if you want to. So I'll leave it at that. But ultimately, again, this is your decision. I can't tell you how to live your life. I don't want to see anybody going through hell when they don't need to be.
Thank you for. I'm going to put you guys in the back for a little bit if you want to hang out for just a little bit. We got work, I know. So, we won't make it late. We won't make it the traditional Billy after show. You know what I mean?
Please, no.
No. And plus, Jimmy isn't here, so it's really all about torturing Jimmy, really.
Well, we can arrange that.
Yeah, just drag him in.
Maybe, yeah. All right, let me put you guys in the back. All right, guys. I hope you found this helpful, and know it was from the heart, from all of us who participated tonight. You have people who care about you, even if you think you don't. And we want you here tomorrow and next week and next year and 5 years from now. We want you guys to do good, because that's how this community rolls. We stick together and we look out for our own. So I'm going to leave you guys with my, where is it? Yes, my Billy show. I wrote this song, believe it or not, and I didn't perform it though. But I wrote it as a message of hope. And I want you guys to have hope and know that there's a good life out there. You just got to reach for it. All right? Hope you guys have a great week. Have a great Thanksgiving, because I won't be here next week to do a stream, but I'll see you in 2 weeks. And we'll do a fun stream. And enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend coming up. And I'll see you guys again soon. All right? Take care, guys. And let me put this in. Add to the stream. There we go.
Closing time, I drank my wine, and now it's time to go. Friends all here, some far and near, and now ends Billy's show. Snake and an ape, a man called Nate, and even a red rhino. It's getting late, 2 weeks will wait. Just thought I'd let you know that maybe there's a life, 'cause after the fall you feel like nothing at all. That maybe it's alright to laugh till you cry and burn bright till you die. That maybe there's a life, 'cause after the fall you feel like nothing at all. That maybe it's alright to laugh till you cry and burn bright till you die. Don't worry, friend, it's not the end. We'll see you once again. Just ride that train, we'll see you around the bend. 'Cause life is long, just hear this song. In a world of wrong, you must be strong. You must be strong. Like a river flows across my mind. So here we go. Goodbye, I'll see you the next time. So here we go. Take care, thanks for listening to the show. So here we go. Thanks for listening to Billy's show.